if you want to join us over here, I have the distinct honor of introducing to you Dr. Charity Mutegi of Kenya. Dr. Mutegi is the 2013 honoree of the Borlaug Field Award for Field Research and Application, which is endowed by the Rockefeller Foundation. We're honoring Dr. Mutegi this year for her amazing work on working on the grain mold aflatoxin, and she's happy to answer questions from the press right now. So with that, Dr. Mutegi. Are there questions from people? Yes.
Okay. Like Megan said, I'm involved in aflatoxin management, primarily in 4 facets. First is, am I loud enough? Okay. First is awareness raising, and basically communicating to the farmers and telling them what aflatoxin is about and how they can manage. Secondly is establishing prevalence data for aflatoxin management, because that is the basis for introducing management efforts. Thirdly, capacity building, particularly in developing infrastructure for advancing aflatoxin research. And thirdly, probably what I've largely been involved in is the extending and deployment of AflaSafe in Kenya, which is basically a biocontrol tool to manage aflatoxin. And basically what we do is to make use of indigenous strains of aspergillus flavors that do not produce aflatoxin, and use these to compete with the toxin cousins found in the same environment, so that we can create an environment that has less of the toxin producer, the aspergillus flavors. Yeah.
Let me ask you, 1,000 questions. What kinds of hurdles did you have to overcome, and have you been successful?
It's an interesting question. I think anybody who has worked in Africa knows that the terrain for moving research towards development is not easy. Yeah. So to that extent, and that is where my effort has been, there have been challenges. I mean, we have had to deal with people who probably think that this is a Western technology and it's not there to benefit the farmers, but rather a commercial enterprise for the Western world to make money in the country. We've also had dissenting voices from professionals who probably from misinformation have looked at biocontrol as not a viable option for aflatoxin management. We have had to deal with regulatory frameworks that are not very receptive to that kind of technology, again because the capacity even within the regulatory institutions is not there to tackle things like biocontrol. And it has also been a delicate balance, trying to interact with the farmers, working with them directly, and making them understand in the simplest and noblest of terms what is biocontrol and what do they expect to get out of this, because we are testing it in their fields. So all those, I wouldn't say, I look at them as opportunities and not necessarily challenges, but we've had to go through that, and we've made a lot of progress. In fact, in countries like Nigeria, where the work started earlier, the demand by farmers for biocontrol to manage aflatoxin is actually very high. So that way, when the farmer wants the technology, then we know we are going somewhere.
Other challenges you're looking forward to? Other things you want to work on?
Besides aflatoxin or besides biocontrol? Well, within aflatoxin management, certainly, we normally say that biocontrol is not a silver bullet to managing aflatoxin. And that's because aflatoxin contamination happens at different points of the crop value chain. So besides advancing biocontrol, we also like giving the farmer a full package what other things can the farmer do to manage aflatoxin? Simple things like sorting, proper drying, good agricultural practices, good management practices. All this is also our mandate to give the farmer the full package. But of course, beyond aflatoxin management, I like to mentor. Yeah, I mean, I am where I am today because of a lot of mentorship from senior scientists who've been there, who have made it, and have seen the potential in me. And I know without a shadow of doubt that mentorship is very important for anybody who's trying to make it in science. So that way I've been involved in a lot of mentoring, formally and informally, for both women and also men. And that is something I'm passionate about. Yeah.
Maybe you could discuss what got you into researching this topic.
Okay. First of all, I got where it all started. I started by studying food science and post-harvest at the university. And at that time, I was basically passionate about food science because it's something that I identify with on a daily basis. I mean, for those of us who are privileged, we have 3 meals in a day. And that means things around food safety, around nutrition, is, for lack of a better word, very practical. And at that stage, that is why I took food science. But beyond that, I specialized on food safety and went further on to specialize on aflatoxin. And the drive for aflatoxin management is because I felt as a scientist, the kind of deaths we were getting in Kenya were just too alarming. I mean, it's inexcusable today for scientists to sit back and watch the kind of fatalities that we have. I don't know whether you're aware about the fatality that we had in 2004. We lost more than 125 people. This is not an act of God. It's not a catastrophe. It is because of things that we can manage. It is really inexcusable. So I felt, and some of the tools for managing aflatoxin are really not rocket science. I think it just takes persistence and a bit of determination and wanting to do something. And, you know, things like capacity building, educating people are simple things that can help the farmer a lot. I remember in 2005 when we had a problem, and I got consulting with the Food and Agriculture Organization, and we told them that it is important for farmers who are also consumers to understand the magnitude of the problem. And at first, we got a lot of, discouragements from people who were supposed to be supporting us. And that's, you know, basically the politicians who said, you know, you should be investing this money in doing something better, like buying bulldozers to till more land. And they couldn't see how you could, in quotes, waste a lot of money educating farmers, you know, speaking to farmers. And 2005, 2006, we got other deaths from aflatoxin management. 2007, we got other deaths. And so they kept quiet now and started seeing the sense. In fact, right now, they have actually managed to mainstream raising awareness within the Ministry of Agriculture, which is a good thing. So, yeah. Yes?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bill Allen, by the way.
I'm Charity.
How do you do? Very nice to meet you. I wanted to ask, other than aflatoxin as a problem for the food system in your country, what other 2 or 3 other major challenges or opportunities, as you might call them, what else needs to be taken on as a problem that's killing people?
Besides aflatoxin?
Mm-hmm.
I think water scarcity as a resource, that's a huge, huge problem for us. And 2, I think this was said today during the opening of the Borlaug dialogue, the woman needs to be uplifted in terms of her contribution to agriculture. I mean, she is a backbone. You talk about her being involved in 80% of the farming activities. But when you look at critical factors like, for example, land ownership or land rights, less than 2% of women basically can make decisions towards that aspect. And I'm happy that we do have a new constitution in my country that now recognizes men as, women as potential owners of land, just like men. And probably I should add another one, education. Yeah. You really cannot talk about a career or making impacts without looking at the fundamentals, which is education. Yeah. And to that effect, there has been a lot of imbalance between the female and the male child, and I think that also needs to be addressed. Yeah. So.
Just to follow up,
Okay.
Those are important issues, of course, and mainly deal with either climate or social, political issues. What about scientific issues other than aflatoxin, ones that affect the health of crops that scientists can solve?
Well, besides aflatoxin, of course, aflatoxin is a pest management issue. It's a microbial pest issue. But we do have, for example, issues to do with developing drought-resistant varieties, yeah, high-yielding crops, and we're talking about using modern agriculture to meet some of these challenges. I say that we have two options: make use of modern agriculture or open up new land, in quotes, to meet the increasing population, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. But you open up new land thinking that you're solving one problem, and you're opening yourself to another problem, which is land degradation. You're opening up forest land to till to feed the increasing population, which is, in quotes, a better vice. Yeah? So I think use of modern technology, agriculture technology, should be encouraged to meet or to address those problems that we have. Yeah. And something else probably I should say about biotechnology, which you have heard of a lot. In Europe or in the developing country where people have a right to choose between using, for example, organic food or inorganic food, you have that choice. In Africa, where you have dissenting voices against biotechnology, the choice we have is to either have food or not to have food. Yeah? That is a choice that we have to make. So dissenting voices against use of biotechnology is really not fair for us, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. So I think that should be encouraged. But for that to happen, you really need to get infrastructure support from governments and policies and regulatory frameworks that can help us, advance some of these technologies that have been seen to work elsewhere. Yeah.
Hello? Yes, I thank you very much, but I wanted to, probably you should enlighten me that half of your Kenyan land is arid, and 1/3, I think, it is in the hands of the bourgeoisie, the landlords. And I don't know how much these smallholder farmers do utilize, how much of land are they using, because if half is arid, and 1/3 of the rest is in the hands of the big people. So how much are these small farmers?
I think the issue here is that the large-scale farmers, who are the minority, are on the productive land. Yeah? The bulk of the smallholder farmers do not look at farming as a commercial enterprise. That is why when you ask everybody in Kenya, they will tell you they are a farmer. Whether they're doing it for commercial purposes or to look for food to keep them, the following day. So I'm not sure that the bulk of land in Kenya is with the large-scale farmers, but I think the bulk is with the smallholder farmers, but really unproductive. Yeah. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
women smallholder farmers, but I wanted to get your opinion on being a woman scientist in Kenya. I have a science background, and I've already experienced some barriers being a female in science here in the U.S., and I was wondering if you'd experienced anything like that or some challenges along those lines.
Yep. I think, first of all, the sociocultural setting in several parts of Africa, not just Kenya, doesn't really give the woman scientist a very good platform, to exercise their ability. In fact, many of them would probably be asking, what am I doing managing aflatoxin instead of managing my home? Yeah. I mean, so already there's the expectation from society that probably that is not what you should be doing. Others see it that by the fact that you're a woman, you're probably not as competent as your male colleague. So, and then again, if you look at the statistics, for example, we only have about 14% of African women in leadership in agriculture research institutions. So it's very hard to get the connect or have, somebody who understands the challenges that a woman would go through at that higher level. Yeah. So yes, we do get those challenges, and you basically have to work twice to prove that you're capable. It happens.
Thank you. My name is Henry Lutai. I'm a journalist from Uganda. Sorry that I just came into a bit late. Would you describe to us the solutions that you developed to manage aflatoxins?
Okay. Like I said, my work is a combination of several angles of managing aflatoxin. The first being raising awareness, the second being capacity development, the third being establishing prevalence data for aflatoxin in the region, and fourthly and most important is extending and potential deployment of biocontrol as a tool for managing aflatoxin. Now, biocontrol the technology was actually developed by the USDA ARS under the leadership of Dr. Peter Cotti. And we are now taking that technology and applying it in the African context as a long-term solution for managing aflatoxin. And like I said earlier, basically what we do is to look for indigenous strains of Aspergillus flavors that do not produce the toxin and put them back in the environment to outcompete their toxin producers of the same family, that is Aspergillus flavors. Yeah? So it's a process called competitive exclusion, and that is what we have been doing. And what we have seen is that the efficacy in terms of aflatoxin reduction by using biocontrol is very high in basically all countries that it has been tested. In Kenya, for example, we got in one site in coastal Kenya, we got over 90% reduction. And if you look at West African countries where the technology is really advanced, they have gotten as high levels, 90%, over 82% aflatoxin reduction. But like I said, it is not to say that biocontrol is the silver bullet to aflatoxin management. It's always, we always strive to give the farmer a package. And that, of course, is because the route or the avenue for contamination in the crop is not one stage or a one-time issue. It could happen at different times. It could happen pre-harvest. It could happen at post-harvest, during transportation. So you give the farmer a package that they can use to manage the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any last questions? If not, thank you, Dr. Mutegi.
Thank you.